Karoline Leavitt stepped confidently into the packed New Hampshire courtroom, her youthful determination standing out against the stern, old-school vibe of the legal elite. The judge, Victor Ramsey, glared down at her with icy contempt, his smug authority practically dripping from the bench. But what happened next would turn the entire room upside down and bring justice crashing down on the untouchable. Before we dive into this jaw-dropping story, drop a comment below to let us know where you're watching from. If you're hooked on gripping tales like this, hit that subscribe button. Because tomorrow, we've got another unforgettable story lined up just for you. In 2025, Karoline Leavitt, a 28-year-old lawyer with a razor-sharp mind, stepped into a New Hampshire courtroom. Born in 1997, she'd cut her teeth as Donald Trump's press assistant and run for Congress in 2022, nearly winning at just 25. Now she was here to take down Edward Grayson, a wealthy political donor accused of embezzling election funds from that very campaign. Grayson sat at the defense table, exuding confidence, flanked by his attorney Lydia Harper, a veteran known for shredding opponents. But the real threat loomed from the bench, Judge Victor Ramsey, a powerhouse with a reputation for favoring the elite and crushing anyone who dared challenge him. Karoline hadn't even set her notes down when Ramsey struck. "Well, look who's here," he sneered, his voice booming, the little White House girl fresh off her press briefings. "What's this, Ms. Leavitt? You think a courtroom's just another stage for your theatrics?" The jab hit like a punch. Lydia Harper smirked, leaning toward Grayson. "She's probably got a camera crew waiting outside," she quipped, loud enough for the jury to hear. Snickers broke out from the defense team, and the 12 jurors shifted, eyes flicking between Karoline and the judge. Karoline kept her face stone cold. "Your Honor," she said, voice steady, "I'm here to prosecute a corruption case, not to play your punching bag. Can we stick to the evidence?" Ramsey leaned forward, his glare icy. "Evidence? I've seen kids like you strut in here with nothing but hot air. You think your Trump badge impresses me?" Before she could respond, Harper jumped in. "She's used to spinning stories, Your Honor, not proving them. Maybe she should have stuck to Twitter." The jury murmured, and Karoline's jaw tightened. She slammed her folder onto the table. "If you're done with the comedy routine, Your Honor, I've got proof Edward Grayson stole campaign funds I fought for in 2022. Let's talk about that." Ramsey's lips twitched, but his tone stayed sharp. "Oh, I'll talk, Ms. Leavitt. I'll talk about how you're wasting my time with your rookie nonsense. You think you're a big shot because you rubbed elbows in D.C.? "Big shot," Karoline fired back. "No, just a lawyer who knows Grayson's dirty. You want to keep this about me, or should I start with the bank records?" Harper laughed, cutting in. "Bank records? What's next? A PowerPoint? This isn't a campaign rally, sweetheart." Karoline shot her a look. "Call me sweetheart again, Miss Harper, and I'll bury you with those records, too." The room hushed for a split second, the tension spiking. Ramsey banged his gavel. "Enough. You don't set the tone here, Ms. Leavitt. I do, and I say you're out of your depth." Karoline didn't flinch. "Out of my depth? Funny, I thought judges cared about facts, not flexing their egos." Gasps rippled through the jury. Ramsey's face darkened. "Watch your mouth, girl. You're not in some debate club. I run this show." She squared her shoulders. "Then run it fairly, Your Honor. Or is that too much to ask?" Harper seized the moment. "She's got a temper, Your Honor. No wonder she lost that election. Can't handle the heat." Karoline spun toward her. "I lost by a hair, Lydia, and I'm still standing. Where were you in 22, counting Grayson's cash?" Grayson shifted uncomfortably, but Harper grinned. "Cute. Too bad insults aren't evidence," Karoline smirked. "Don't worry, I've got plenty of both." Ramsey slammed his gavel again, his voice rising. "You think you're clever, Miss Leavitt? I've crushed bigger names than you. Keep pushing, and you'll be out of here faster than you can say recount." Karoline met his stare head on. "Crush me all you want, Your Honor, but you can't crush the truth. Grayson's guilty, and I'm proving it. Unless you've got a reason to stop me." The accusation hung in the air, heavy and dangerous. Harper scoffed. "She's delusional, Your Honor. Thinks she's some crusader." Ramsey leaned back, his tone venomous. "Crusader? More like a kid playing dress-up. Get to your point, Ms. Leavitt, or I'll shut this down myself." Karoline didn't blink. "My point's coming, Your Honor, and when it does, you'll wish you'd listened instead of lecturing." The jury sat riveted, the defense bristled, and Ramsey's fingers twitched on his gavel. This wasn't just a trial, it was war, and Karoline was ready to fight. Karoline Leavitt flipped open her file, her fingers steady despite the storm brewing in the courtroom. She pulled out a stack of documents, fake invoices and suspicious bank transfers tied to Edward Grayson's accounts, and held them up for all to see. "Your Honor," she began, her voice cutting through the tension. "These records show Grayson funneled over $500,000 from the 2022 election funds into shell companies. The invoices are forged and the transfers don't add up. It's clear evidence of embezzlement." Before she could finish, Judge Victor Ramsey's voice sliced in like a guillotine. "Hold it right there, Ms. Leavitt. You expect me to waste my time on this? What'd you do, learn law from Twitter? This looks like a kid's homework project." The jury shifted, a few eyebrows rising, but Karoline didn't back down. "Twitter didn't forge these documents, Your Honor," she shot back. "Grayson did. And I'd think a judge would want to see proof of $500,000 vanishing into thin air." Ramsey scoffed, leaning forward with a mocking grin. "Proof? I see a pile of paper and a lawyer who thinks she's a detective. Sit down before you embarrass yourself further." Lydia Harper, Grayson's attorney, chimed in with a smirk. "She's right, Your Honor. This is amateur hour. Maybe she should stick to press releases." Karoline's eyes flashed, but she kept her tone even. "Amateur or not, Ms. Harper, these numbers don't lie. Unlike your client." She slid the documents toward the bench. "Take a look, Your Honor, unless you're scared of what you'll find." Ramsey's face tightened, his fingers curling into fists. "Scared? I'm not the one grasping at straws here. I'm denying this nonsense. It's irrelevant." Karoline's jaw dropped slightly. "Irrelevant? It's the backbone of the case. You can't just toss it out." "I can, and I will," Ramsey snapped, banging his gavel. "This isn't a sandbox, Ms. Leavitt. You don't get to play prosecutor with fairy tales." The defense table snickered, but Karoline pressed on. "Fairy tales don't come with bank stamps, Your Honor. You're dismissing evidence without even reading it. Why's that?" Ramsey's eyes narrowed, his voice dropping to a growl. "You're treading on thin ice, girl. Keep it up, and you're out of here." Karoline met his stare. "I'm not going anywhere until Grayson answers for this. Dismiss me if you want." "I'll just appeal." The room buzzed as she called his bluff, but the tension spiked when Karoline signaled to her team. A man in his 40s, Thomas Klein, stepped forward, adjusting his tie nervously. "Your Honor," Karoline said, "I'd like to call a witness. Mr. Klein has something to say about Mr. Grayson. And you." Ramsey's head snapped up. "What's this now?" Klein cleared his throat. "I worked security at a fundraising event in 22. I saw Judge Ramsey talking with Edward Grayson. Alone. Late at night." Grayson handed him an envelope. "Looked like a payoff to me." The courtroom erupted. Jurors gasped, reporters scribbled, and Grayson shifted in his seat. Ramsey slammed his gavel so hard it echoed. "That's enough. This is slander, pure garbage. You, Ms. Leavitt, are done. One more word and I'll have you escorted out." Karoline didn't flinch. "Slander? It's testimony, Your Honor, sworn under oath. You're the one shutting it down. Why? What's in that envelope you don't want us to know about?" Harper leapt up. "Objection! She's badgering the court with baseless accusations." Karoline spun toward her. "Baseless? Your client's fingerprints are all over this, Lydia, and now Ramsey's sweating. Coincidence?" Ramsey's face turned red. "You're out of line. I don't sweat. I rule. And I'm ruling this clown show over unless you shut your mouth." Karoline crossed her arms. "Rule all you want, Your Honor. You can't hide from a witness. Klein saw you. Deny it. Go ahead." "I deny it because it's a lie," Ramsey roared. "This man's a nobody, probably paid to spew this trash." Klein bristled. "I'm not lying. I've got no reason to. I saw what I saw." Karoline seized the moment. "No reason except the truth, Your Honor. You met Grayson. You took something. And now you're burying my evidence. That's not bias. That's guilt." Ramsey pointed a shaking finger at her. "You're finished, Leavitt. One more stunt like this, and I'll charge you with contempt." Harper smirked. "She's already contemptible, Your Honor. Let her dig her own grave." Karoline ignored her, locking eyes with Ramsey. "Charge me if you dare, but I'm not the one scared of a little envelope." The judge's nostrils flared. his silence louder than any outburst. Karoline's mind raced. This wasn't just obstruction. Ramsey was hiding something tied to Grayson. The way he flinched at Klein's words, the rush to silence her. It clicked. He wasn't just favoring the defense. He was part of the crime. The pressure in the room thickened, and Karoline knew she'd struck a nerve. She wasn't just fighting a case now. She was unraveling a conspiracy. Karoline Leavitt stood at the plaintiff's table, her pulse steady despite the chaos she was about to unleash. She reached into her briefcase and pulled out a small recorder, holding it up like a weapon. "Your Honor," she said, her voice ringing clear, "before you dismiss me, I've got something you need to hear." Judge Victor Ramsey's eyes narrowed, but before he could interrupt, Karoline pressed play. A low, gruff voice crackled through the speaker, unmistakably Ramsey's. "She's getting too close. Make sure she doesn't win. Ko ta kong dwach pep thang." The courtroom exploded. Jurors gasped, reporters scrambled for their phones, and Edward Grayson's smug facade cracked as he shot a look at his attorney, Lydia Harper. Ramsey slammed his gavel, his face flushed with fury. "Turn that off! This is a sham, pure fabrication. You've got no proof that's me." Karoline stopped the recording, her gaze unflinching. "No proof? That's your voice, Your Honor, recorded legally during an investigation into Grayson's finances. Care to explain why you're plotting to tank my case?" The jury leaned forward, doubt flickering in their eyes. Ramsey jabbed a finger at her. "You're a liar, Leavitt. That's doctored, some cheap trick to smear me. I'll have you disbarred for this." Harper jumped up, her voice sharp. "Objection! This is a blatant violation of procedure. She can't just play random audio and call it evidence." Karoline spun toward her. "Random? It's a wiretap, Lydia. Court approved. You want the warrant? I've got it right here." She slapped a document onto the table. "Or are you scared it's real too?" Harper's smirk faltered, but she pressed on. "You're desperate, Karoline. Flinging mud doesn't make it stick." Karoline smirked back. "Mud? This is concrete, and it's burying your client, and maybe Ramsey too." Ramsey banged his gavel again, his voice rising to a roar. "Enough! I'm ruling this inadmissible. It's a fake, and you're a disgrace." Karoline didn't budge. "Inadmissible? You don't get to erase your own words, Your Honor. The jury heard it. They're not deaf." A juror in the front row, a middle-aged woman with a tight bun, nodded slightly, her lips pursed. Ramsey caught the look and snapped, "You think you're winning, Leavitt? You're just digging a deeper hole." Karoline's eyes glinted. "Good. I'll dig until I hit the truth." She reached for another file, pulling out a single sheet. A contract with a damning signature. "While we're at it, Your Honor, let's talk about this." She held it up. "A funding agreement for Grayson's shell company, signed by none other than Victor Ramsey, dated 3 months before my campaign. You greenlit his scam." The room went dead silent for a heartbeat, then erupted again. Grayson's hands clenched, and Harper leapt to her feet. "Objection! That's unverified. She's forging evidence now." Karoline shot back. "Forging? It's got Ramsey's signature in ink, Lydia." "Subpoenaed from Grayson's own records. Explain that." Ramsey's face went pale, but he rallied. "That's nonsense. I sign hundreds of documents. Means nothing." Karoline stepped closer to the bench. "Hundreds? This one funneled $200,000 to Grayson's pocket. You expect us to believe that's a coincidence?" Harper cut in, her tone venomous. "You're twisting facts, Leavitt. This is a circus, not a trial." Karoline turned on her. "A circus? Your client's the ringleader and Ramsey's the clown. Look at the dates. Right before he started stonewalling me." The jury murmured, heads turning. Ramsey pounded his gavel, his voice cracking. "Silence! I'm throwing this out, both of you. Sit down." Karoline didn't move. "Throw it out all you want, Your Honor. The truth's out. You're tied to Grayson, and everyone here knows it," Harper sneered. "You've got no shame, Karoline. Accusing a judge with no proof?" Karoline held up the contract. "No proof? His name's right here. Call it what you want. Looks like guilt to me." Just then, a new voice broke through the chaos. A juror, a burly man in his 50s, seated in the back, stood up, his face red. "I've got something to say," he barked. The room froze. Ramsey glared. "Sit down, sir. You don't speak." The juror ignored him. "Grayson's people called me last week, told me to vote his way or else. Said they had friends watching." Gasps echoed. Karoline's heart raced as she seized the opening. Friends, huh? Like you, Your Honor? This just keeps getting better. Ramsey's gavel hit the bench so hard it nearly splintered. That's preposterous. You're all out of order. Karoline faced him, unflinching. No, you are. A juror's threatened, you're on tape, and your signature's on the money trail. What's next? Going to deny the sun's up too? Harper tried to regain control. This is hearsay. She's coaching witnesses now. Karoline laughed coldly. Coaching? He just spoke up. Maybe Grayson should have coached him better. The juror sat, but the damage was done. The other 11 stared at Ramsey, their trust shattered. Grayson whispered furiously to Harper, who snapped, You're ruining this court, Leavitt! Karoline met her glare. No, I'm cleaning it. Ramsey's dirty, your client's dirtier, and I'm just getting started. Ramsey's hands shook as he gripped the bench, his authority slipping. Karoline knew she'd turned the tide, not just against Grayson, but against the man who'd tried to break her. The room buzzed with shock and she stood tall, ready for the fight to escalate. Karoline Leavitt stood firm as the courtroom teetered on the edge of chaos, her voice slicing through the noise. Your Honor, she declared, turning to face Judge Victor Ramsey head-on. Given the recording, your signature on Grayson's contract, and a juror's testimony of intimidation, I'm requesting an emergency investigation into this court's conduct. Starting with you. The jury gaped, pencils scratched furiously from the press row, and Edward Grayson's hands twitched. On the defense table, Ramsey's face twisted into a snarl, his composure unraveling. Investigation? He bellowed, slamming his gavel so hard it skidded off the bench. You're destroying this system, Leavitt. You think you can waltz in here and tear down justice? Karoline didn't blink. Justice? You buried it the second you took Grayson's money. I'm just digging it back up. Ramsey leapt to his feet, his voice a roar. This is my courtroom. I am the law here, not some jumped-up press secretary. His words echoed, but they were drowned out by a sharp creak as the side door swung open. A uniformed officer, Michael Torres, strode in, his face grim and a folded paper in hand. Victor Ramsey, Torres announced, his tone flat but commanding. You're under arrest for obstruction of justice and accepting bribes. The room detonated. Jurors gasped, reporters shouted questions, and Lydia Harper shot up, her voice shrill. This is outrageous! You can't arrest a judge mid-trial! Torres didn't flinch, holding up the warrant. I can when the evidence holds up. Step down, Ramsey. Ramsey's eyes bulged, his hands clawing at the bench. You'll regret this, Torres. I'll have your badge. Karoline crossed her arms, her tone icy. He's got a warrant, Your Honor. You've got cuffs coming. Sit down or make it worse. Ramsey lunged forward, knocking papers to the floor. I won't be humiliated by you, Leavitt. This is a setup. Torres moved fast, grabbing Ramsey's arm as a second officer flanked him. Hands behind your back, sir, Torres ordered. Ramsey thrashed, his robe flapping. Get off me! I'm not some thug. You can't do this. The metallic click of handcuffs silenced him mid-rant, locking around his wrists right there at the judge's seat. The jury stared, mouths open, as Ramsey's bellows turned to sputters. This is tyranny. You'll pay, all of you. Karoline watched, unflinching, as Torres and his partner wrestled Ramsey toward the exit. But the chaos didn't stop there. Edward Grayson bolted upright, his chair scraping the floor, his face pale and sweating. Wait, he stammered, turning to Karoline. We can talk, okay? This doesn't have to go down like this. His voice cracked, desperation seeping through. Karoline raised an eyebrow. Talk? You're a little late, Grayson. Your judge just got hauled off, started spilling. Grayson's hands shook as he glanced at Harper, who hissed, Shut up, Edward! But he ignored her, words tumbling out. It wasn't just Ramsey, all right. There's others. Councilman Pierce, Senator Holt. They're in on it too. I'll give you names. Just don't let this bury me. The courtroom went wild again. Reporters scribbled frantically. Cameras clicked, and the jury murmured in shock. Karoline seized the moment. Names? Huh? Keep going, Grayson. Who else helped you steal that $500,000? Harper lunged forward, grabbing Grayson's arm. Stop talking, you idiot! She's baiting you! Grayson yanked free, his voice rising. Baiting? I'm done, Lydia. Ramsey's gone. Pierce told me to keep him happy, and Holt signed off on the transfers. I've got emails. Karoline's lips curled into a faint smile. Emails? That's a start. Keep digging, Edward. Your hole's already pretty deep. Grayson's eyes darted around, panic taking over. You don't get it. I'll give you everything. Just cut me a deal. Ramsey, half dragged to the door, twisted back, his face a mask of rage. You sniveling coward, Grayson. You'll rot with me. Torres shoved him forward. Save it for your lawyer, Ramsey. The door slammed shut behind him, cutting off his curses. Karoline turned back to Grayson, her tone calm but lethal. A deal? You're confessing in open court, Edward. That's not leverage. That's a gift. Who else is on your list? Grayson stammered, I don't know, just please, I'll cooperate. Harper threw her hands up, her voice a shriek. Your Honor! Someone stop this madness! He's incriminating himself! Karoline laughed coldly. No judge left to cry to, Lydia. He's sinking your ship. Jump off or drown with him. The press swarmed, capturing every word, every flinch. A juror muttered, unbelievable, as the room buzzed with disbelief. Grayson slumped into his chair, muttering, Pierce, Holt, they'll kill me for this. Karoline leaned in. They won't get the chance. You're mine now. The bailiff shouted for order, but no one listened. Cameras flashed, pinning the moment in history. Ramsey cuffed, Grayson crumbling, and Karoline standing tall. Harper glared at her, venom in her eyes. You think this is a win, Leavitt? You've just started a war. Karoline met her gaze, unflinching. Good. I fight to win. The jury watched, rapt, as reporters jostled for the best angle. Ramsey's arrest and Grayson's meltdown had flipped the trial on its head, and Karoline's victory, temporary or not, shone bright amid the wreckage. She'd taken down a titan and cracked a conspiracy wide open, and the world was watching. The courtroom still buzzed with the aftershocks of Judge Victor Ramsey's arrest as Edward Grayson sat, defeated, his shoulders slumped. Karoline Leavitt faced him, her eyes sharp and unyielding. You're out of moves, Grayson, she said. Spill it all, every name, every deal. Grayson's voice trembled as he complied, listing Councilman Pierce and Senator Holt, detailing a sprawling web of corruption that had siphoned election funds for years. But then he turned desperate, pointing a shaky finger at her. You're not clean either, Leavitt, that 2022 campaign. You took my money, too. Check your records. The accusation hung in the air, a last-ditch jab to drag her down with him. The jury murmured, and Lydia Harper smirked, sensing blood. Well, well, Harper said. Looks like the Crusaders got dirt on her hands. Karoline didn't flinch. She reached into her briefcase and pulled out a thin stack of papers, slapping them onto the table. Nice try, Grayson, she said, her tone steady. Here's the truth. My campaign finance logs from 22, every dime accounted for. I rejected your shady donations. Wired them back the second I smelled a rat. You've got nothing on me. Grayson's face fell, his bluff collapsing. Harper grabbed the documents, scanning them furiously, but her scowl deepened. She couldn't counter it. Karoline pressed on, turning to the jury. He's lying to save himself. I fought clean then, and I'm fighting clean now. Grayson's guilty, Ramsey's guilty, and the evidence proves it. The jurors nodded, their doubt erased. Grayson slumped further, muttering, It's over. As Harper threw up her hands in defeat, this is a farce, she snapped, but no one listened. The bailiff restored order, and the trial wrapped fast. With Ramsey gone, a new judge took over, and Grayson's confession sealed his fate, guilty on all counts, sentenced to years behind bars. Ramsey faced his own reckoning, charges of bribery and obstruction, his career in ruins. Karoline stood tall as the gavel fell, the weight of her victory settling in. She'd taken down a corrupt judge, a crooked donor, and a network of power brokers, all before her 29th birthday. As she stepped out of the courthouse, sunlight hit her face, and a swarm of reporters rushed forward, cameras flashing. Ms. Leavitt, one shouted, you've just exposed a conspiracy. How does it feel? Karoline paused, a rare smile breaking through. It feels like justice, she said. I came here to hold Grayson accountable, and we did more, cleaned out a whole mess of corruption. This is just the start. The crowd cheered, headlines already crowning her a young icon of law and order. Karoline adjusted her coat, her voice firm as she addressed the microphones. I'll keep fighting for a system that works, not one that hides. No one's above the law. With that, she walked off, head high, leaving a trail of hope in her wake. The press hailed her as a beacon, and in that moment, New Hampshire, and beyond, saw a future where justice could prevail.